First time I received a request to do this movie was a month after my channel started, and I've referenced Little Giants numerous times in my other videos, and so now that I've built up a level of hype that I can't possibly live up to, let's begin. So what kind of name is Little Giants, am I right? Do you know what another name for Little Giant is? Regular-sized person. Oh, alright, great crowd. Little Giants begins in Urbana, Ohio in 1964, where we meet the OShea brothers, Danny and Kevin. Kevin is athletic and outgoing, and Danny is Squints from The Sandlot? Danny worships Kevin and is upset that his brother didn't pick him to play football, and from that day forward, Danny is always living in Kevin's shadow. We jump forward 30 years, and Kevin OShea is a Heisman Trophy winner who now owns a car dealership and coaches Pee Wee football in Urbana. But forget all that, the dude has his name on a water tower. That's the big leagues right there. That's when you know you've made it. After the mild success of this channel, my hometown decided to name a park bench after me. And when I brought my parents to show them, some punk kids had changed the name on it to Distracted Turd. But you know what? I think that it's funny. I'm actually laughing when people call me that now. It is hilarious to me. They're having tryouts to join the Little Cowboys. Actually, I think they're just called the Cowboys. And for some reason, it's full contact even though they don't have pads on. And like any tryout, some kids are natural athletes and some are not. And some kids are athletic but just can't catch.
Hey, Hayden, you ever catch anything?
Oh, don't be a dick. We're all just trying our best. Shake it off, Hanan. Be the bigger man.
Got cold yesterday, Murph. Here, have some.
Oh, no. Gross, dude. That's not cool at all. Danny OShea's daughter Becky is trying out, and she's the best player on the team by far. But she gets teased because she's the only girl out there.
Icebox. Do you pee standing up?
Now, when she's hot to trot, she's still got a squat.
I don't know. Making fun of girls because they urinate sitting down just seems like it's more stating a fact than hazing. And Becky has the nickname Icebox, which I think she got because she's cold as ice when she cuts off the airway of her peers. It comes time to find out who made the team, and only 4 kids got cut, and we find that Icebox got cut solely because she's a girl. I don't know why anyone has to get cut. There already aren't enough people to fill an entire offense and defense. Like Hanan got cut just because he can't catch, but he's the fastest one on the team. Make him a defensive back, or make him a kick returner and do the Forrest Gump thing. Some of the Cowboys taunt the kids that didn't make it, and Icebox tells them that they're forming their own team and that her dad is going to coach. League rules state that they are only allowed 1 team per town, so the old-timers in the diner suggest a playoff to determine which team gets to represent Urbana. I don't know if we should make these kinds of decisions based on the whims of 2 bored old dudes. So the stage is set and the kids have 2 weeks to form a team before they play the Cowboys. We then get to the best part of any underdog sports movie. The insane, seemingly random recruiting blitz. It basically just involves the kids walking through town and asking anyone close to their age if they want to play. Growing up, every baseball season I would just kind of hang out in alleys hitting a rock with a croquet mallet, hoping some kids would walk by and see my raw talent and say, "Hey kid, nice hitting. We're forming a new team. Do you want to play for the Sharks?" Or something like that. I played it over and over in my head and the scenario changed a little bit over time, but basically what would end up happening is Crazy Gary would chase me out of the alley screaming that I was the devil. He was my best friend. They find Marcus, who can kick just the most gigantic rubber ball I've ever seen, which shouldn't really translate well with kicking a football, but hey, they're desperate. They recruit nerdy Newbie as the playmaker/assistant coach.
You ever played football?
No?
You want to play football?
No?
This kid who couldn't care less about football and actively said he didn't want to play. A sad, broken child whose father doesn't love him. Always a welcome addition. And Jake Berman, who is the boy in the plastic bubble on the day he was released from the bubble.
He sneezed 3 times this morning and had me worried sick.
And a few other kids who were just there to complete the roster. Don't worry, they're blurry and in the background. You don't need to know what ironic weakness they have. Later that day, the Icebox is walking through the grocery store when she notices Junior Floyd throwing toilet paper rolls into a shopping cart. And Hanan asks him to join their team, and the Icebox develops a crush on him. Danny and Icebox go to Junior's house to ask if he can play on their team. And Danny realizes that Junior's mom is his childhood crush, Patty. Kevin isn't worried about the game until he learns about Junior Floyd, so he and Butts spy on the Little Giants practice. Danny notices them and calls the state police on Kevin and Butts.
There are 2 men down the bridge from the Shell station in the bushes spying on some kids. I just don't think it's right for men their age to be parading around in their underwear.
Making a false claim to the police that your older brother is a pervert? Classic. And this isn't even just some silly kids movie misunderstanding, because the police actually arrest Kevin and Butts. Man, when I would try to prank my brothers, I always thought it was funny to tap one shoulder while I was standing on the other side. But having them register for the rest of their lives as a sex offender? Yeah, I guess that's also pretty funny. So this deviant weirdo still gets to coach Pee Wee football, and he pushes the Cowboys harder than never, while making sure to not touch any of the players or himself. The Little Giants are coming together as a team, and they have a car wash to raise money for new uniforms, and Butts shows up to make fun of them.
If I was a mama hen and they was my chicks, I'd lead them to water and let them drown.
Okay, you're already on a registry as a sex pest, so maybe don't loudly fantasize about murdering children also. The old-timers in town tip off both OShea brothers about a new football prospect that just moved to town. Seriously, just old bored instigators. And Danny and Kevin both race to get to him first. Danny gets there first and introduces himself as Coach OShea, and Mike Hammersmith assumes he's Kevin OShea and brings out his 10-year-old son Spike. Mike Hammersmith has been setting his son up to be a football star since the day he was born, and they moved to Urbania specifically so Spike could play for Kevin OShea.
We got a new player.
Who's that?
Spike's in hell. Spike's in Pee Wee hell.
You call this a team?
I mean, I know Spike is an asshole, but Spike is also the only one who has an actual shot at being a football star. I don't care how big of a dick he is, this is not fair to Spike at all. And hell, if I was one of the kids, I wouldn't even want Spike to join the Little Giants. I would just be so embarrassed by literally every part of our dumpy little team. I would rather lose than drag someone else down. Icebox tries to tell Danny that they don't need Spike on their team, but Danny won't listen to her because he's so determined to beat Kevin. Mike Hammersmith finds out what Danny did and takes Spike away to go play for the Cowboys. And the Little Giants break down pretty quickly and they all go their separate ways. Tad is riding home when John Madden stops to ask him for directions to the Football Hall of Fame.
Hey kid, you got a second? Me and the guys have to get to a banquet in Canton. You know where the Hall of Fame is?
I'm sure you're on the up and up, coach, but right now is not the best time to be approaching young kids in Urbania. There was an incident, and law enforcement is hyper vigilant right now. So Tad surprises the team by bringing John Madden, Tim Brown, Bruce Smith, Emmett Smith, and Steve Entman to help them practice. Again, I would not even want them there. I would just be embarrassed to let pro football players see me practicing in a Darth Vader helmet. I mean, I'm sure they would be super gracious and would pretend like they didn't notice, but they would notice. Although it does appear as though Entman was planning on wearing jorts to a Hall of Fame banquet, so maybe it's not that big a deal. Newbie even gets John Madden to help with this super secret play called the annexation of Puerto Rico.
I call it the annexation of Puerto Rico. I kinda stole it from you. Raiders, Vikings, Super Bowl 11.
Oh, well, I should tell you, most leagues won't even allow that play anymore. Boom! And I feel like I should address something just in case someone else thought the same thing I did. I had written a Topanga joke to use when Newbie was drawing up the annexation of Puerto Rico play, and upon further research, I discovered that this is not the same kid who played Stuart Minkus on Boy Meets World.
Now we can run the annexation of Puerto Rico.
I just don't feel that the geography tournament fits in with my new image. Stuart Minkus, regular guy.
I have thought it was the same kid for years, and I would have bet money and probably screamed at you that you were an idiot if you were to challenge me on that. Like, it seriously messed me up. I just kind of sat there for a few minutes and started working again, and then looked it up one more time just to be 100% sure.
You know what this is called?
Our only decent football that is now destroyed? Tad got it from his stepdad's trophy room. It was signed by Babe Ruth for some reason.
I took a team to a Super Bowl and we won. We were a team, but you have to stick together.
Fun fact, John Matuzak, the guy who played Sloth on the Goonies, was a starter on that Super Bowl team. Rest in peace, Sloth. Icebox and Junior sit by the water and contemplate practicing kissing.
We're gonna have to learn how to do it sooner or later. I mean, you know, if you want to have kids and get a job and stuff.
You can have kids without kissing.
But you can't get a job.
That is the most awkward part of any job interview. Junior says that if he was forced to kiss anyone, he would want to kiss a cheerleader.
And you're probably the only girl I've met that can beat up my dad.
That's also the criteria I laid out for every girl I've ever dated. She would come over to meet my parents, and when my dad would introduce himself, I would scream, "The day of reckoning is upon you, old man. Get him, Megan!" And then it would just kind of go downhill from there. The night before the big game, everyone starts their pre-game rituals. Icebox quits the team to be a cheerleader. Classic. Hot Hands drops every pass thrown to him. Consistent. Marcus dabbles in blackface. Not cool. Johnny gets abandoned by his father again. Also classic. We finally get to the game, and man, this town really goes all out. This is basically an exhibition, and they even have a marching band. For most of my games growing up, they wouldn't even open the concession stand. During the coin toss, Danny and Kevin are caught on the loudspeakers making a side bet. And if Danny wins, he gets Kevin's car dealership, and if Kevin wins, he gets Danny's rundown gas station. That is way too much pressure to put on little kids. Like, I played for a lot of terrible teams in my life, and when we would lose, no big deal. But if we lost, and my coach lost his business, I would feel terrible as hell. So it's like, not only did I lose and disappoint myself and my family, but I sucked so bad that an adult lost his job? No, thank you. So the game begins, and for the first half, it goes about how you would expect. But not completely how you would expect.
Your first
half the score. Cowboys 21, Giants nothing.
Actually, the Little Giants would be losing by way more than that in real life. Like, the scoreboard for the Cowboys should have already rolled back to 0. In the locker room at halftime, Danny tells them that all it takes is one time, and they have a shot to win this, and confidence is restored. So right away, Tad scores a touchdown by juking this kid right out of his shoes. And the Little Giants are finally on the board. Spike gets told by his dad to take Junior out, and Spike spears him from behind after the play. Junior goes out, and Becky suits up and immediately forces Spike to fumble, and the Little Giants recover. Danny calls the Chicken Little flea flicker play, which is a pitch to Johnny. So Johnny gets the ball and is initially frozen in place.
Just run to him!
Until he sees his dad show up to the game and runs for a touchdown with the power of dad love. It's kind of the same effect as when you tell Bobby Boucher that water sucks.
What's the matter, Four Eyes? What's your mama?
Don't be talking about my mama!
And Jake Berman gets a devastating tackle with the power of mom love. It is exactly the same effect as when you tell Bobby Boucher that his mom sucks. The next play is a pass to Hot Hands Haanen, and he finally overcomes his fear and runs in for the tying score. There's less than a minute to go, and the Cowboys take it all the way to the goal line. And Icebox makes an amazing goal line stop. So the Little Giants get the ball back with 4 seconds left, and fake Minkus suggests they run the annexation of Puerto Rico. So the Little Giants have won, and Danny is brimming with confidence and starts making out with the star quarterback's single mother without checking to see if Junior was okay with Danny replacing his father. Baller shit right there. Danny offers to let the Cowboys play for the Little Giants, and he offers to coach the team with Kevin. And Kevin desperately doesn't want to lose his car dealership, so he makes a deal with Danny, and they change the water tower to read home of the OShea brothers. Heisman Trophy winning Kevin and gas station attendant Danny. It's especially egregious because noted physicist Stephen Hawking lived in Urbania his whole life. But that's our sports-obsessed culture for you.
I gave everything I had to this podunk town, and all I got was my name on a park bench like I was the distracted turd or some shit.
Okay. Rude. And that was Little Giants, the movie that transports you back to a simpler time. And as an added bonus, I'll leave you with the McDonald's ad that inspired this great American classic. Thanks for watching.
Tony, he's our man. If he can't do it, Bob can. He's our man. If he can't do it.
A great man once said, winning, gentlemen, isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Look, a grasshopper.
I formation, 34 sweep on 2. Got it? Just give the ball to Matt. Tell him to run toward his daddy. Got it?
It starts every September with teams like the Turkey Creek Hawks, the Bronx Eagles, and the Newport Richie Giants. On fields where dads weren't only coaches, and oak trees marked the end zones. And a good day wasn't determined by if you won or lost, but where you went after the game. So McDonald's would like to salute the players, the coaches, and the families who helped make this season a perfect season.
Can we go to McDonald's now, Coach?
After the game, Lenny. This is only halftime. Now go sit down.